Welcome back. So, quick news video before tonight's game gets started between Florida and Carolina. I assume it's not going to go 7 or 8 periods, but we'll see. That being said, I want to start with that news. Raanta is going to start tonight for Carolina. So it's. I mean, we could see it as a bold move, but Raanta's been 3-2 in these playoffs with a 906 save percentage. He has played well. I'm already seeing predictions of, well, that's it. Florida's going to kill him, but we'll see. Again, Raanta, I think, has played well for Carolina when called upon, and obviously Freddie Anderson could very well be quite tired or even injured coming out of that game the other night. That's a lot of hockey. It's a lot of hockey to play, so we'll be Bobrovsky at one end, Raanta at the other, and hopefully in 3 hours' time I'll be filming a video on what happened, not 8 hours from now on what happened. So, also, Arizona, because what would a news video be right now without Arizona news? Toronto talk is not on the board, but Arizona is. So, Logan Cooley, the speculation was that maybe the no vote in Tempe influenced him, and it did. Craig Morgan spoke with him, and he confirmed that the no vote impacted him returning to the NCAA to play in Minnesota. And I mean, University of Minnesota, not for the Wild, University of Minnesota. But he had been leaning towards turning pro and then opted to go back as a sophomore to university. And he said, going back to university is a good call anyways, so he's fine with it. But yes, it did impact his decision on whether or not to turn pro this summer. And so that's the first we've seen. The other question that's out there, of course, is, so now that this is done, how long does the NHL give Arizona to have another plan? Or do you give them that line? If they don't end up with another serious plan, then what happens? Again, Mesa, it looks like might be a possibility. But, I mean, now you're getting into the first plan was Phoenix, and then Glendale, and then Tempe, and now it would be Mesa. They also had Scottsdale in there at one point, so Arizona Coyotes indeed. Maybe it's just be a tour. Their home games could be played at various buildings, 2 or 3 different buildings. At any rate, maybe they'll need to think outside the box. We shall see. But for the Coyotes, they're going to have some time to look for a new arena, but there's going to be a lot of pressure. And the other thing, too, is with the sale of the Ottawa Senators, which should be decided next week, and I'll be doing a video once that's finished on the new owner and what the plans might be for the Ottawa Senators. The fact that the Senators could sell for $1 billion would mean that if Arizona was going to relocate, the asking price for the Coyotes would likely be a lot more than this franchise is worth, and somebody would likely be willing to pay it. So, in the end, it may come down to simple cash, which is what fans have argued for a long time has been the problem. Cash flow going in the wrong direction when it comes to the Arizona Coyotes. So coming out of today's game between Switzerland and Canada, I just wanted to address this in a video here. Yes, Joe Veleno, guilty of a stomp to the ankle on Nino Niederreiter, who afterwards said this doesn't belong in the game. There's been a lot of discussion about how that doesn't belong in the game. The IIHF, to this point, has not suspended Veleno. I think they will. The IIHF doesn't mess around. Suspensions are common, and I would think that that's going to suspend him probably for the rest of the tournament. I'd be very surprised if Veleno plays again. Niederreiter understandably upset, and of course, he then gets a roughing penalty for a punch on Veleno after getting his ankle stomped, and the only one that goes to the box is Niederreiter, and then Canada scores on the power play. So all around, just a really ugly situation, and I would think that Veleno gets suspended. Now, before anybody asks, it has no impact on the National Hockey League whatsoever. The NHL will not suspend Veleno for that. They don't pay attention to the international tournaments so much. They don't have an affiliation with it. I would be very, very surprised if the NHL said, you know what, we'll suspend Veleno too. I can't see that happening. I also find it odd because I've watched Veleno the last couple of years. This is something I've never seen from Joe Veleno. I don't know what was going on the play for him to have that kind of a brain fart, but it definitely deserves a suspension, and I'd be very surprised if he plays at all the rest of the tournament for Team Canada. I also wanted to throw in there too, because I always see people talking about how Vegas, well, they're not real fans, and they're just fair weather. Today, full practice arena to watch the teams practice today. So it's an off day in Vegas. You go out to the practice rink, which is not really that close to the main arena either. Although it is nearer to where a lot of the locals actually live than T-Mobile is. T-Mobile, of course, right on the strip. But the fact that that practice arena is full, well, it's a beautiful day outside and it's 34 degrees Celsius, which is warm for most of us here in Canada. But in Vegas, that's not a bad day overall. Until you get into the low 40s, locals are pretty good. I think in the high 20s in terms of Celsius, they'd probably still be wearing jackets. At any rate, I think Vegas has shown over the last 6 years that they're a hockey market. I understand people say, well, when the team's no good anymore, that's going to change. But the team's been pretty good throughout, and the fans have been excellent as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Just kudos to them for, in that kind of heat saying, let's go down and watch the practice. And I mean full. So that's kind of impressive for a non-hockey market. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And one last question. Does Veleno play at all for the rest of the tournament? Let me know your prediction on that. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.